Vada, a teenage girl, prepares for school and goes with her best friend Nick as usual. While Vada is attending class, her younger sister Amelia sends her a message claiming an emergency. Worried, Vada excuses herself and calls her sister, who informs her that she's panicking since she just got her first period. Vada comforts her by saying that it's normal and nothing to be anxious about. Later, while Vada is chatting with her classmate Mia, they hear gunshots from inside the school. Fearing for their lives, the girls hide in a restroom stall. Quinton, a guy who enters the restroom with blood on his clothes, informs them that his elder brother has been fatally shot. For the next 6 minutes, they experience the terrifying sound of gunfire. After the damage has been done, the police finally arrive. Traumatized by the incident, Vada isolates herself and frequently experiences flashbacks of the day her friends were killed while her family tries to console her. Vada tends to keep to herself and often isolates herself, locking herself in her room. Even Amelia tries to cheer her up, but Vada ignores her and prefers to be alone. One night, Mia follows Vada on Instagram and shares her phone number as she's the only one who knows what Vada is going through. They start talking about how they are coping with the situation. Mia informs Vada that her parents are in Japan and she's alone in the house, so she invites Vada to her home if she needs someone to talk to or hang out with. A few days later, Vada visits her best friend Nick. Her mother is relieved that Vada is finally leaving the house after several days of isolation. Seeing her mother happy, Vada lies and tells her that she's feeling good. At the park, Nick tells her that they survived for a reason and that they should educate others to prevent similar incidents in the future. However, Mia pays little attention to his words and continues to be buried in her thoughts. In the next scene, Vada watches Mia's dancing videos on Instagram, while Amelia and her mother watch the news. As nothing stimulates her mind, she gets up and goes to visit Mia. Upon arrival, Mia welcomes Vada and shares that her parents are artists who are often out of the country. As they settle in, they discuss the shooting incident, and Vada mentions that she has been having nightmares lately. Vada reveals that she will attend Quinton's brother's funeral the following day, and Mia decides to come along as well. At the funeral, Quinton expresses his gratitude and thanks to them for visiting. After returning home, Vada looks at the pictures of the victims and becomes depressed, spending her time crying and often getting shivers. Since that day, Vada and Mia start hanging out a lot more as they understand each other's suffering. While spending time with Mia, Vada realizes that Mia is a lonely girl with wealthy parents who do not give her much attention. Mia's primary passion in life is dancing, but she reveals that she hasn't been able to attend her dance class since the incident. When Mia inquires about Vada's parents, she reveals that they are supportive, but she does not discuss much with them as they become overly anxious and stressed. That night, Mia and Vada are watching a movie together, but Mia starts to doze off. When Vada tries to leave, Mia asks her to wait until she falls asleep for her to feel safe. Later, on her way home, Mia calls Nick and apologizes for not being able to meet him recently. She claims that she needs some time to process this because she's been going through a rough patch. Nick, on the other hand, reveals that he's become an activist against weapons and is working to ensure the safety of schools. The next day, Nick calls Vada to inform her that he is returning to school. Upon hearing this, Vada's mother encourages her to go back to school as well, but Vada is still not ready to return and wants to wait until she feels better. Her mother suggests she see a therapist to help her process the trauma. Vada goes to see Anna, the therapist her mother set up for her. Initially, Vada tries to act as if she is handling her emotions well, but Anna recognizes the need for Vada to properly process her emotions to overcome the terrible memory. Anna hands Vada worksheets and instructs her to write down her emotions and mood. After the session, Vada receives a message from Quinton thanking her for attending his brother's funeral, and they meet at a coffee shop to discuss how they are coping. Vada also goes to Mia's house and they smoke weed and have drinks together. When Vada returns home hungry, her mother complains that she spends little time with her family and asks her to return to school. Vada gets irritated and goes to her room to call Mia. Mia tells Vada that her parents have allowed her to be homeschooled for as long as she wants. The following day, Vada finally returns to school after being persuaded by her mother. They are now being screened for metal and taught survival skills in the event of another threat. However, Vada still can't bring herself to enter the bathroom where she hid from the shooter. When she steps on a can on her way home, the noise scares her and she accidentally wets herself. The next day, Vada buys ecstasy from a drug dealer to help her get through the school day, but she ends up getting high in class and getting ink all over her face. Vada excuses herself and goes outside, but ends up rolling down the stairs. She reaches out to Nick for help via text and he comes to take her away before anyone notices. Later, Quinton calls her claiming she had texted him multiple times while she was high. Vada invites him to her house to watch a movie and they have a good time until Quentin leaves abruptly due to a family issue. Vada lies to her parents, saying she will be studying at Nick's house but goes to Mia's house instead, where they get high and dance on the road. They end up getting intimate and Vada sneaks out early the next morning, leaving her family furious and worried. Vada lies to her mother about where she was and eventually confesses that she stayed at Mia's house. When she meets Nick, he is angry with her and explains that he was worried about her safety as she was high the last time they saw each other. They argue and Vada leaves. She meets Quinton and complains about Nick, but he tells her that things have been difficult for Nick as well. They chat and Vada ends up kissing Quinton, who declines her advances. Vada feels embarrassed and runs away. Later, Mia messages Vada asking if she is mad at her, but Vada doesn't respond. That night, Vada is crying when Amelia enters and apologizes for putting her in danger by calling her during the shooting. After the incident, the little girl thinks that Vada has been ignoring her, but upon hearing Liz's story, Vada realizes that she is projecting her trauma onto her sister. She reassures the little girl that it's not her fault and confesses that she only thought about Amelia during the shooting, revealing how important Amelia is to her. The sisters reconcile and hug each other tearfully. The next day, Vada and her father climb to the top of a hill and scream out their frustrations, leading Vada to finally admit her bottled up feelings. She feels better after this and decides to visit Mia's house later. There, Vada finds Mia unconscious in the sauna, surrounded by empty wine bottles. Mia believes that Vada hates her after their intimate encounter, but Vada assures her that she could never hate her. The following day, Vada makes real progress in her therapy session, telling Anne about her best friend Nick and how much she misses him. She breaks down in tears as she recalls the shooting incident, but slowly begins to feel better. Vada approaches her mother and apologizes for ignoring her, and they have a heartfelt conversation. Vada then opens up about her relationship with Mia and what happened between them. The movie concludes with Vada waiting for Mia outside her dance class, and they exchange playful and flirtatious texts, suggesting that Vada is finally happy after a long time and ready to move forward with her life. However, her happiness is abruptly shattered when she receives a notification on her phone about a school shooting in Ohio that claimed the lives of 12 students. Vada is in disbelief and begins to hyperventilate, leading to a panic attack that ends the movie as we listen to the sounds of her distress. Please subscribe the channel and ring the notification bell for more videos.